back to the Noah Shannon thing. He's back at practice. So he's been reinstated to the roster. He's no longer in some quasi player coaching role. He is back on the roster, and that's positive. I don't know when he's going to get back on the field as far as gameplay, and Kirk was asked today, how far away from being in game shape is he right now? Let's not forget he was dealing with an injury during fall camp, so Kirk brought that up and acknowledged, hey, he probably wouldn't have played the first few weeks of the season anyways. So we'll see. I mean, we're still awaiting official word from the NCAA. The fact that they've allowed him to get back into practicing would be an indication he's going to get reinstated, I think, Mark. I just hope that we don't have to wait, and then he gets to play 2 games in the year. I think that would be unfortunate. But they could use him this weekend. I don't think they're going to get him, but they could certainly use him this weekend against that running attack.
Yeah, so based on what they've had to do from a personnel standpoint without him, how much do you think he would upgrade the situation?
I mean, there have been some people, and I know it was brought up to Kirk today, that the rush defense numbers have been maybe below average. I mean, I feel like the Lions played just fine in general. I thought the line got better last week. Now, I don't think it was sort of a consensus among a lot of people in the media this past weekend that Iowa's rush defense has just been fixed. There were a lot of coverage pressure on Saturday, several coverage sacks. They had 6 total sacks in the game, which is great. That means the guys on the back end are doing their jobs, but I don't know that the D-line has taken that next jump yet as it relates to getting home on the quarterback quicker. I do think that Y.A. Black is playing the best football of his career. And, Joe Evans is Joe Evans, got a ridiculously good motor. And I feel like Ethan Hurkett and Max Llewellyn have played well. However, with that being said, I'll stick by what I've said since early on in the year. They don't have a Lucas Van Ness, an AJ Epinesa, a Drew Ott, or an Adrian Claiborne. They just don't. They have, a couple of guys you might be able to compare to a guy like Zach Van Valkenburg, who is playing a little bit, by the way, for the Rams. Got a sack the other day. But, those are not – they have no first-team All-Big Ten type ends that are going to wreak havoc on an opposing quarterback. So they're going to have to generate pressure in different ways. Phil Parker's good at doing that. I would not be surprised, Mark, and I mentioned this to Coach Patterson Saturday, if Phil does start to dial up a little bit more pressure. Now, they got to be careful because Mordecai can run this weekend. But given the consistency on the back end, given the level of play Cooper DeJean's playing at right now, given the fact that Jamari Harris has had a couple of games now back under his belt, I would not be surprised if they start sending an extra rusher here and there earlier in games. They did that late. They dialed up the pressure on Card on Saturday, Hudson Card, and shut them down, shut Purdue on that final drive. That might be something to consider. And I wouldn't be surprised if Phil does that and just says, hey, I got confidence in my guys down the field. So we'll see. That might be an aspect of this and maybe create some turnovers that way.
I just looked up the total defense numbers. So Iowa is just 29th in the country in total defense, but they are 7th in yards per play, which leads me to the point that you brought up a few days ago. And I don't even think that you came to this realization by looking at the numbers. I think it was just your observation of watching the games and saying, Iowa's defense has been on the field a lot. Yes, 454 plays is far more than anyone else I can find on this list.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they can be as productive as they have been despite that. And I mean, we talked about Josh Jackson's stretch of 2 games from Ohio State to Wisconsin back in 2017. Let's talk about Cooper DeJean these last 2 weeks against 2 Big Ten opponents. Had a punt return for a touchdown, had a pick the same game. And in this past game, he nearly had another pick 6, had an interception returned inside the 5. Ironically enough, Iowa went backwards with the offense, had to settle for a field goal. I guess that's par for the course, but he is just playing fabulous football right now. And I don't know, we're going to be starting to have conversations as we get to the end of the year. Is there any chance he comes back? Because I don't know where he's at right now on draft boards, but he's got to be working his way up and quickly. He's got good size for a corner. I'm assuming he projects as a cornerback at the next level. I guess I don't know that, but I think the DB room right now in general, and they've stayed relatively healthy. Now they've got Harris back from suspension. I know Deshaun Lee is out right now, but in general, they've stayed healthy back there. That's helped. Sebastian Castro's played well, had a couple picks, including the pick 6 against Iowa State. So, like I said, maybe you dial up some pressure and make things difficult on Mordecai. He is more of a willing, I made the comment, he's more of a willing runner than Card was. Probably. Although Card had a big game. Was it against Wisconsin where he ran for a bunch of yards? So I don't know. We'll see. Mordecai's ran for more yards in the season than Card. I don't think it's. Am I correct in saying that?
I don't know. I
Let
know
me look it up.
that based on our conversation with our Purdue guy, Grant, last week, and then just watching Purdue a little bit, I saw the Wisconsin game and I saw little bits and pieces here and there against Fresno State. He's been not 100% to be the runner that he's been in the past. And just to follow up on the Iowa defense and how much they've been overworked, there's only one defense in the country that has been on the field as many plays, and that's Old Dominion. Those are the two teams that have been on the field for the most plays in college football this year.
What's their record? What's Old Dominion's record?
I know they took Wake to the wire. I'd have to look it up. Yeah, I don't know what they are.
By the way, yeah, I was correct. Card has rushed for a net of 35 yards, which is actually pretty good given the fact that sacks are included in the NCAA's numbers. Mordecai's over $150 on the year. So those are impressive numbers for a quarterback. Can we Caleb Brown? I know we need to address that. Kirk Ferentz says he's back at practice. I know there have been reports and rumors out there about why Caleb was gone due to personal reasons. I'm not going to comment because I have not talked to Caleb or his family. I've heard a couple of different things, one of which is pretty consistent with a number of different sources that I know have reported this. He's back at practice, according to Kirk, and we'll see what happens. He's not on the depth chart. I can tell you that walk-on Alec Wick is on the depth chart. So do I feel real positive about Caleb Brown's future at Iowa because Kirk said he's back at practice? No, I don't. But we'll wait and see what happens. Iowa needs him. Knock on wood, they need him. They need an electric receiver. The guy hasn't caught a pass this year. He's been targeted. You can count on one hand the number of times he's been targeted. And you might be able to count on two fingers the number of the times the ball's actually gotten to him. So, it is what it is. I don't even know what to say about that. But what was I going to say? There's something else that I wanted to bring up before we logged off here, and I can't remember.
The last thing I'll say in regards to this matchup, which, again, from any reasonable standpoint, is the biggest game in the division, is Kirk downplayed it. I have no issue with that. He just wanted to toe the line and say, this is just the next game. We don't look at it like that. Sure, we have rivalry games. And I don't know if he's truly unaware of some of these things or he just kind of plays the part that, how long has this division been going on? And legends and leaders, when did that start? And is there a trophy connected to this game? He kind of throws that stuff out, like maybe he knows, maybe he doesn't. And I'm not going to question his honesty. But this game, he didn't really play into the narrative that this game is more significant than other games.
Did you see he acted legitimate, like he legitimately did not know that Iowa has 3 protected rivals moving forward with the Big Ten schedule?
I didn't quite catch that.
He thought
to that degree.
He thought they had 1. In fact, he started to kind of argue with. He's like, "No, we have 1, right?" And he's looking around, and they're like, "No, you have 3 protected rivalries moving forward." He's like, "Oh, I thought we had 1." I'm like, I mean, I know you're locked in on the season, but come on. So,
yeah.
Anyways,
wait till he sees the schedule for next year.
Well, could you make an argument? Well, actually, I don't think you can. I think the argument is null and void. I don't think you can make the argument that Iowa is more advantaged than a Penn State because they have 3 protected rivalries, because that will be accounted for in balancing efforts.
Yes.
With the scheduling the rest of the teams, that will be accounted for.
And those aren't bad teams. They're not the best in the conference. They're where they are typically. Yeah, they are now. Yes, they are. And Minnesota is a bad team right this second, but they haven't been.
Correct.
And Wisconsin, of course, is
very good team.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't know what else there is to be said. Iowa, Wisconsin, Saturday. I'll be doing a live show either tomorrow or Thursday. I guess people can kind of keep it locked into my channel. I'll be doing a live call-in show at some point. Time still TBD, kind of trying to iron out the details on that. But then we'll have post game. We'll have a double post game this weekend because Coach Patterson will be doing a Missouri Valley conference game on television for ESPN Plus. So he'll be at that on Saturday. I'll do a live show Saturday and then a live show on Sunday. So it'll be a busy week. I'll be dropping a podcast with a future Iowa athlete, future Iowa football player here in the coming 24 hours or so. So that'll be good to get that out to the people. And yeah, lots of stuff coming down. This game is huge.
I will be watching this one. I'm trying to see who it's competing against. Yes, I will have one eye on Iowa, Wisconsin, and I guess one on Oregon, Washington. Looks to be the other best game of the window.